Charles Darwin asked, "Why is not every geologic formation and every stratum full of such intermediate links? Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this is the most obvious and serious objection which can be urged against my theory." A.H. Clarke has observed, "No matter how far back we go in the fossil record of previous animal life upon Earth, we find no trace of any animal forms which are intermediate between the various major groups or phyla. Since we have not the slightest evidence, either among the living or the fossil animals, or any intergrading types following the major groups, it is a fair supposition that there never have been any such intergrading types." Former evolutionist Dr. Gary Parker said, "In the geologic sequence, the flowering plants and other creatures first appear suddenly and in great diversity in Cretaceous upper dinosaur rock. It is well known that modern insects are strikingly similar to ancient insects. As C.T. Bruce confirmed when he reported, some of the specific types have persisted throughout the 70 million years since then with little or no change. E.C. Olson admitted, there is almost nothing to give any information about the history of the origin of flight in insects. According to Roger Lewin, the evolutionary transition of the first mammal is still an enigma." Charles Darwin agreed, "Not one change of species into another is on record. We cannot prove that a single species has been changed." Ronald West said, "Contrary to what most scientists write, the fossil record does not support the Darwinian theory of evolution because it is this theory which we use to interpret the fossil record. By doing so, we are guilty of circular reasoning if we then say the fossil record supports the theory." And Homer W. Smith admitted, "As our present information stands, however, the fossil gap remains unabridged, and the best place to start the evolution of the vertebrates is in the imagination." Darwin said, "I am quite conscious that my speculations run beyond the bounds of true science. It is a mere rag of a hypothesis with as many flaws and holes as sound parts." According to T.L. Moore, "The more one studies paleontology, the more certain one becomes that evolution is based on faith alone." G.A. Kirkut admitted, "The philosophy of evolution is based on assumptions that cannot be scientifically verified. Whatever evidence can be assembled for evolution is both limited and circumstantial in nature." Richard Dickerson confirmed, "We evolutionists can only imagine what probably existed, and our imagination so far has not been very helpful." John T. Bonner reported, "We evolutionists have been telling our students for years not to accept any statement on its face value, but to examine the evidence, and therefore it is rather a shock to discover that we have failed to follow our own sound advice." Anti-creationist science writer Boyce Rensberger explained, "At this point it's necessary to reveal a little inside information about how scientists work, something the textbooks don't usually tell you. The fact is that scientists are not really as objective and dispassionate in their work as they would like you to think. Most scientists first get their ideas about how the world works, not through rigorously logical processes, but through hunches and wild guesses. As individuals, they often come to believe something to be true long before they assemble the hard evidence that will convince somebody else that it is. Motivated by faith in his own ideas and a desire for acceptance by his peers, a scientist will labor for years knowing in his heart that his theory is correct, but devising experiment after experiment whose results he hopes will support his position." James Crow agreed, "The details of how evolution could have taken place are difficult and obscure." According to Dr. Gary Parker, one of his former evolutionary professors said, "If a fundamental Christian ever got hold of this stuff, which is the evidence against the evolutionary dating system, he could make havoc out of the radiometric dating system, so keep the faith." Arthur C. Constance admitted, "Virtually all the fundamentals of the orthodox evolutionary faith have shown themselves to be of either extremely doubtful validity or simply contrary to fact." Michael Roos stated plainly that evolution is a religion. This was true of evolution in the beginning, and it is true of evolution still today. Arthur Keith has observed, "Evolution is unproved and unprovable." Charles Darwin said, "I have asked myself whether I may not have devoted my life to a fantasy. I'm ready to cry with vexation at my blindness and presumption." W.R. Thompson confirmed, "This situation where men rally to the defense of a doctrine they are unable to defend scientifically, much less demonstrate with scientific rigor, attempting to maintain its credit with the public by the suppression of criticism and the elimination of difficulties, is abnormal and undesirable in science. And Dr. N. Herbert Nilsson testified, "My attempt to demonstrate evolution by an experiment carried on for more than 40 years has completely failed. The idea of evolution rests upon pure belief."